At what age does the average person actually reach a net worth of $100,000? Reaching six figures is a major financial milestone. For many people, it can become a turning point, the stage where your financial decisions begin to determine whether you continue building wealth or eventually hit a plateau. But here's the surprising part. Most people don't reach that $100,000 net worth milestone as early as you might think. My name is Theo, and I spend way too much time thinking about why reaching a $100,000 net worth seems to happen much later for most people than we might expect. If you're someone who cares about building wealth, understanding your net worth, and figuring out when you can realistically reach that first six-figure milestone, take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the channel if this video helps you. Now, let's look at what the actual numbers tell us. The Federal Reserve regularly conducts studies on household net worth, providing several different ways to measure average wealth. In this video, we're going to focus on the median, which is one of the three main ways economists measure what's typical. And in this case, the median gives us a much clearer picture of where the average person actually stands. The mean, however, can be misleading. A relatively small number of extremely wealthy people can push the average upward, making it appear as though most households are doing far better financially than they really are. The median tells a different story. It represents the middle of the group. Half of the people have a higher net worth, while the other half have a lower net worth. That makes the median a much more useful measure when we want to understand what a typical American's financial situation actually looks like, and, more importantly, when most people truly reach that first $100,000 milestone. According to the data, most people reach a six-figure net worth somewhere between the ages of 35 and 44, when the median net worth reaches about $135,000. For those under 35, however, the median net worth is only around $39,000. The data doesn't provide one exact age, but it does reveal a clear range. And based on that range, it's reasonable to say that most people reach a $100,000 net worth in their late 30s or early 40s. That might come as a surprise to many people. We're constantly surrounded by social media images of young millionaires, early retirees, and people who appear to spend money without limits, but the reality is very different. Most people build wealth much more slowly, usually in gradual steps connected to several important financial factors. There's another detail that's important to understand. These figures are based on households, not individual people. That means the numbers include everyone living within the same household, whether that's a single person, a couple, or an entire family. Their combined assets and debts are counted together when calculating household net worth. So if you're looking at these numbers and wondering how they apply to one individual, keep in mind that individual net worth would typically be lower, particularly among younger adults. So why do people tend to reach six figures in their late 30s and early 40s? There are several key reasons behind this pattern, and some of them may be very different from what you've been led to believe. First, marriage often plays a major role in how household net worth develops. When two people get married, their assets and debts are combined into one household net worth. It doesn't always create an immediate financial gain, but a couple's combined ability to earn and save is generally greater than that of one individual. Of course, it can also work the other way if their spending habits and financial decisions aren't aligned. Picture two friends in their early 30s. One has managed to build a $40,000 net worth through consistent 401k contributions and, importantly, by staying completely out of debt. The other friend is in a very different position. They have $20,000 in various assets, but they're also carrying $50,000 in student loans. That leaves them with a negative net worth of $30,000. Now imagine these two people get married. Their finances are combined, and suddenly, their household net worth becomes $10,000. Marriage doesn't simply merge two incomes together. It also combines expenses, resources, assets, and debt. And that helps explain why household net worth can look very different from an individual's financial position. Second, early career income is understandably quite low. For most young adults, the beginning of their careers means starting out in entry-level jobs while trying to manage student loans, rent, credit card bills, and all the everyday costs that come with figuring out life after high school or college. At that stage, there simply isn't much room left over to build wealth quickly. It's actually very common for net worth to be negative during your 20s, largely because of unsecured debt from student loans and credit cards. Picture someone who has just graduated from school. They've started working, perhaps earning $30,000 or $40,000 a year, but much of that income can disappear quickly into basic living expenses, leaving very little room for meaningful savings. Then add student loans and a car payment. Suddenly, it can feel like no matter how hard they work, they're barely moving forward. They're earning money, paying bills, and trying to stay afloat, but their net worth may still be stuck at zero or even well below it. At this stage, most people are simply fortunate if their net worth isn't negative. Between relatively low starting salaries and a growing list of new financial responsibilities, it's easy to understand why so many young adults begin their financial lives in the red. And that can happen even when they're working hard and making responsible choices. But by the time people reach their 30s, the picture usually starts to change. Careers have often progressed, and incomes tend to rise, creating more room to save and invest. At the same time, debts such as student loans and credit card balances may have been partially or completely paid off. That combination can provide a significant boost to net worth, helping people move out of the red and begin building real financial momentum. Even small, consistent saving and investing habits can begin to make a noticeable difference at this stage. For example, someone who is barely getting by in their 20s may now be contributing regularly to a retirement account, building an emergency fund, or putting money into low-cost index funds. The combination of higher income, lower debt, and steady investing is what typically creates the first meaningful surge in household net worth. And that momentum can set the stage for reaching the six-figure milestone in the mid-30s and 40s. Third, homeownership can be a huge factor, and often one of the biggest factors driving net worth for people in this age group. Most people who buy their first home do so in their 30s, giving them an important opportunity to begin building wealth through home equity. Even though first-time homeownership is happening considerably later than it did in the past, people in their 30s and early 40s are still much more likely to own a home than those under 35, and that single purchase can have a significant, sometimes even one-time, impact on overall net worth. If your monthly costs of owning a home are similar to what you would otherwise pay in rent, you're effectively building wealth with every payment. Part of that payment goes toward reducing your principal, while potential tax benefits can provide additional advantages. And perhaps most importantly, any appreciation in the property's value can further increase your overall net worth. Over time, those factors can turn homeownership into one of the most important contributors to reaching that six-figure milestone. While home prices can fluctuate in the short term, over the long run, a home often becomes the largest investment for people who might otherwise have very little invested elsewhere. Of course, that isn't necessarily always a good thing. But consider an example. If someone buys a home for $475,000 and the property appreciates at a fairly typical rate of 4% per year, it could be worth more than $580,000 after just 5 years. That represents roughly a $105,000 increase in value without even factoring in any other assets or non-mortgage debt. That increase alone could push someone's net worth past the $100,000 mark. Finally, there's an important reason why the first $100,000 is often the hardest to achieve. Anyone who has built meaningful wealth will tell you that getting started is usually the most difficult part. In the beginning, your savings grow slowly because compound growth simply hasn't had enough time to make a noticeable difference. Even if someone in their 20s invests in the stock market, which would already put them in the minority, the amounts they contribute are often relatively small. And when the starting balance is small, the investment gains tend to feel small as well. For example, if someone contributes a few $100s a month to a retirement account for only a couple of years, the account may grow, but the progress can still feel extremely slow. At that point, it can be difficult to see how those small contributions will eventually turn into something substantial. With $10,000 invested in the S&P 500, an average annual return might add only around $1,000 in a typical year. At that level, it can feel like you're making progress, but barely enough to notice. But here's the important thing to understand about reaching that $100,000 net worth milestone. Not all wealth is created equal. Someone can have a six-figure net worth on paper and still have very little real financial security. Net worth is simply a measure of everything you own, minus everything you owe. That means it can include your home equity, cars you own outright or have equity in, money sitting in checking or savings accounts, 401k less, brokerage accounts, equity in a rental property, and even a business that could potentially be sold. But just because something is included in your net worth doesn't mean it's actually working for you. In some cases, it can be quite the opposite. Take a homeowner, for example. Someone might see their net worth rise dramatically simply because home prices in their area increased by 20% over the past few years. Suddenly, they may be worth $100,000 more than they were before, even though they haven't actually saved or invested that additional money themselves. And if they aren't actively putting money into assets that can compound over time, such as stocks and ETFs, retirement accounts, and other investments designed for long-term growth, their net worth may look impressive on paper. But that doesn't necessarily mean it will continue growing at a meaningful rate. The real difference comes from whether your wealth is simply sitting on paper or whether it is actually positioned to keep working and growing for you. That's the difference between paper wealth and compounding wealth. Paper wealth is tied up in things like home equity or a car you own outright. It may feel good to see your net worth rise, but those assets don't necessarily create much financial momentum on their own. Compounding wealth is different. It comes from assets that can continue growing over time without requiring you to constantly add more money. The key difference is that instead of your net worth reaching $100,000 and then leveling off, it can begin accelerating and snowballing over time, eventually growing at a remarkable rate. But this is also where many people unknowingly stall their wealth-building progress. When people reach this point, they may feel wealthy because the value of their home has increased and their home equity has grown. But they often overlook one important fact. That increase in home value may be the fastest gain they see unless they make investing a priority. Without investing their money, their net worth might continue to creep upward as the house appreciates, but it may not grow in a meaningful way. That six-figure net worth can remain stuck for years. And that can be incredibly frustrating, especially when it feels like you're doing everything right. So how does this happen? Many people actually do the basics correctly throughout their 20s and early 30s. They build an emergency fund, pay down credit card balances or student loans, and gradually increase their income. Then comes the decision to buy a house. And for many people, that's exactly where the rapid financial progress begins to slow down. They see buying a house as the final major financial milestone they needed to reach. And because they feel like they've finally made it, investing never becomes a real priority. Instead, any extra money often goes toward upgrading cars every few years, moving into a bigger home with a larger mortgage and higher maintenance costs, taking expensive vacations, or buying things they may forget about just a few hours later. These are the purchases that can make people look and feel wealthy. But because they believe they've already made it, very little of that extra money ends up fueling investments that can compound over time. But if you make the right choice at that crossroads, and start directing a meaningful portion of your growing income toward investments, your wealth can begin growing much faster. Once you have a larger financial base, the power of compounding becomes much more noticeable. Every dollar you invest, save, or use to pay down debt can have a greater impact on your overall net worth. Think of it like rolling a snowball. It starts out small, but as it grows, it picks up more and more momentum. And that's why reaching your first $100,000 often requires the most time, patience, and consistency. But once you finally reach that milestone, you have a choice. You can allow your progress to slow down, or you can keep building on that foundation and position yourself for much faster wealth growth in the years ahead. Thank you for watching. I wish you success.